met some of you coming over from the middle school. Miss Mary has worked a lot with your class, and we're transitioning now. You guys are going to be ready for 10th graders next year. So we're going to talk a little bit more seriously about the classes that you're taking, about what your plans are, and about what kind of research you're doing for post-high school planning. I have this up here because if you have time at the end, I'm going to walk you through the website. There are tons of resources on there, and I just want to make sure that you're aware that that exists. I know that you're not typically surfing the KHS website on your free time, so I just want to point that out, and we'll go back in. Someday I will get a better picture. That's just a generic. So, welcome class of 2018. Your packet. Feel free to thumb through that. I am going to be talking about various things that are inside that packet. I also want you to feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. That's why I wanted you sitting as close as you could to the stage so I can hear your questions. My cold is also in my ears, and it's not very well now, so I appreciate you guys being quiet. Alright, to begin. My name is Miss Jane. I use my email every day. I wanted to put that up here because we are videotaping this. This is going to be available on the web because I'm giving you so much information and a lot of parents are not able to make it here. So please let them know if you want to view this. It will be available on the Kingston High School homepage. My email there, I check my email constantly. I get, I would say at least, 20 emails from parents every day and probably 25 to 30 from students every day. So in your classes, people are on their phone sometimes. A lot of times they're emailing me simple questions, asking me to call them down because they're concerned about something, all those different things that we may be talking about. So feel free to use email, especially if you're not comfortable coming in to make an appointment with me. I know sometimes it's a little intimidating to come in and ask one of my secretaries to be put on my calendar. So that's an easy way for you to get my attention because I'm multitasking all the time and I'm on my email all the time. Handouts at the door, we'll talk about those, so I don't want to waste your time with that. But as you leave, I want to remind you, and I'm going to stress this several times, the course description book is online. That is your guide to high school. It has every course in there. It has graduation requirements. It has any prerequisites that you need, which is a class that you need to take before you're eligible to take a more advanced class. And you need to know that so that you can plan. I can't tell you how many times I've had seniors who want to take something but they haven't had the courses that line up to that course to allow them to do that. So we need to do some planning here, and that's where the course description book is really important. Website, I already kind of showed you. We'll revisit that. Volunteer forms, and I'll talk about this. I didn't provide them to you because I know you've already been informed about volunteering, the benefits. I'll highlight those as we're going through. I didn't want to make multiple copies. They are also online if you don't have time to stop in my office. So just a reminder that those forms are available. I created a Remind 101 for your class, and I know students are used to this. A lot of your teachers use Remind 101. I only use it as class one for very specific reasons. So you don't have to worry about getting bombarded by texts and emails from me if you sign up for this. I would encourage you to do so. Things like maybe reminding you that you should turn your scheduling sheet in on Monday, because we'll talk about that. Little things like that I might send out. Otherwise, if there's a special event that's going on for your class, I'll use this service. Otherwise, it's infrequent and it's meant to be just really important things. That second page of the packet has this on it. It also has this one, which is brand new. I know that announcements are on the TV. How many of you read the TV announcements? Exactly, right? That's the problem. Not many of you. There's a lot of things that go on. Right now, there's a lot of summer programs that I'll talk about, but there's a lot of things coming out of my office that unless you're reading those or surfing my website, which you're not, you're not getting that information. So I'm going to start doing a counseling newsletter, and it's going to go out through Remind. So parents who are not familiar with Remind, what it is a way that you can get either a text or an email that has little tidbits of information. It's very limited in the number of characters that can be sent. So sometimes it'll just be an alert that says new information is posted on the KHS announcements or something that you might want to pay attention to. I can also send an attachment now, so I'm going to be attaching newsletters to this Remind so that it'll come to your email, or if you have a smartphone, it'll come to your smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, it'll alert you at least to go to my website, which I'll show you where those newsletters will be uploaded. The other Remind that's on your sheet, those of you that have a packet in front of you, is the KHSO Remind, and again, that goes back to volunteers. volunteerism. I still have some freshmen that are asking me, do you need volunteer hours to graduate? You do not need any volunteer hours to graduate. It's totally up to you how much time you want to put into volunteerism. I have to tell you though, right now as a 9th grade student, you do not know yourself well enough to start making decisions about careers. And I know people are constantly asking you, what are you going to do when you graduate? Where are you going to go to college? I hope you don't know, because you don't know enough about yourself yet to be able to answer that accurately. Last week, I had 4 seniors that came in and applied to different colleges that they hadn't even been considering until last week. So they're still changing, they don't know. So for you to make decisions right now is a little risky. By volunteering, you can get to know a lot more about yourself and a lot more about different job opportunities that are out there. So I don't say volunteer because it's what you're supposed to do. I say volunteer because it makes you a better person. It exposes you to different things. And start documenting those hours if you choose to volunteer. Some of you may be working jobs, you may be very involved in certain activities, and you don't have time to do all that extra volunteerism, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you get to the college level, where you're applying for colleges, you're applying for scholarships, basically what they're looking for is how you're spending your time. If you're idle, you're at home, you're playing games, that's not going to look good on paper. So that's where volunteerism can fill in some of those voids. Give you responsibility if you took on a project, you can claim a leadership role in that. So there's different things that you can do through volunteering to just better yourself as a person, take on a cause, something that you feel passionately about. If you don't know where to volunteer or how to get involved in that, that's that KHS, that's that 3rd one down there. I get asked probably twice a week, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks I should say, for different community activities where they're looking for volunteers. I post that on the Line 101 for KHSO. There's also a Facebook page, Kingsford High School Outreach, that I'll post it on Facebook as well. So if you're looking for that kind of information, sign up for that. Counseling office basics. Again, since we haven't really worked together very much, I just want to make sure that you understand that my office is really a student service center. I do way more than personal counseling, and I think sometimes there's that misconception. We deal with work permits, coordinate the volunteer hours. So those of you that are collecting and recording volunteer hours, you would be filling the sheets out for documentation. Every 9 weeks, you should be bringing them into my office. We fax them over to DICSA, Dickinson Iron Community Service Agency. They're the ones that keep tallies, approve, what counts, what doesn't count. And then if you get 400 hours by March 1st of your senior year, you could qualify for a medallion. It's an engraved medallion, and you're recognized at the graduation ceremony for that. So if you're involved in other things, there's different ways to be recognized, but that's the volunteer part. Coordinate presentations, such as the one that I'm doing right now, counseling services, which I kind of outlined below, scholarship information, college planning, just a myriad of different things. The personal counseling stuff involves things like planning on your schedule, helping you to find if you want to go into physical therapy, what schools you can go to, what classes you should take right now to plan for that. And we'll talk a lot more about that in a minute. Some of you may be having trouble with study skills, understanding why you do well on homework but you don't do it so well on tests. And I have a couple slides on that as well. So email anytime if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. And I can call you down as soon as my schedule allows. Okay, couple notes, and I know you've heard this probably from Ms. Farah already, but I'm going to repeat this more so because it's being recorded and published for parents to know. But how can you be more proactive in preparing classes in which you're struggling? Most of you know by now, because if you failed something the first semester, we called you down and we talked about the fact that you're going to need to redo that semester. Credit is earned on a semester basis. So if you failed English 9 first semester, but you passed the semester that you're in right now, you will only have to make up first semester. You do have an option of summer school. As a 9th grade student going into your 10th grade year, you're eligible for 1 class in summer school, which is 1/2 of a credit. So if you failed more than 1 class first semester, you can only make 1 of them up in summer school. Summer school is online. You would report from 8 to 10. A lot of kids choose to stay until noon because the more you get done, the faster you get it done, you can finish sooner. It runs for up to 6 weeks. You need to be done within that 6-week period, and you can be done sooner than that if you get a year better in the course. You do have to report here. Mr. Guyan is typically the summer school supervisor, and I believe he plans to do that within the more proactive so this doesn't happen again. You need 24 credits to graduate, and if you count all the classes that you need to take in high school, there's not a lot of wiggle room in there, there's a little bit, but that wiggle room is meant for you to kind of go outside of your comfort zone and take classes that maybe are a little more challenging than what you're ready for without having to worry about it affecting your grade point or your graduation status. High school is the time to challenge yourself. It's free. When you go to college, you're going to be paying for your English class right now. That's about $500, and that's a affordable college English class for just that one class, just that one portion of your day. So if you think about how much your education is worth right now, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. So take advantage of that. Okay, how can I be more proactive in preparing classes in which I'm struggling? Pre-read. For those of you that struggle in social studies, you can't walk into social studies and understand everything that they're throwing at you if it's difficult for you. Some people pick it up, some people don't. So what you can do is look the information over in advance. So when you get into class, you're already prepared. You know what you don't know, and as the teacher's going through, you can ask questions. And I guarantee you, if you're concerned and don't understand, and you ask a question, you're also helping out at least another person in that classroom. So be prepared to ask questions. Don't get hung up on taking notes while you're trying to listen. The way that your brain works is you only take in a certain percentage of information every time a subject is brought up to you. So if you pre-read, you already have a general understanding. If you sit there and you listen to the teacher talk about it, you probably get another, and I'm making this up, but let's say 20-30% just from listening. Then you're writing things down, you'll get another 10%. Then the teachers give you homework, and that's so that you have to review, reinforce, and get more of that content knowledge embedded in your brain. So there's a method to their madness. If you're skipping homework, it's going to show up on the test because your brain hasn't had a chance to absorb all of that. So do that pre-reading. What is the purpose of unit exams? This is the biggest mistake. It's so you find out what you don't know. Most of you, when you get your exams back, you're like, yeah, I got a 75, I got a 92, whatever it is. You should be saying, okay, what did I get wrong for that 8%? Because that's what you're going to get wrong again on the final if you don't correct that. So the purpose of an exam is to see what you don't know, not what you do know. That's a different way of thinking. That's the college way. And then how do I prepare for final exams? And you know this from day one. You collect everything, you keep it in a folder, and then when exams come around, you go through and filter out what you know and what you don't know. Okay, I do fine on homework, but I never do well on exams. What can I do about that? First of all, how are you studying? This is where you look at the exam, you look at what you got wrong, and figure out why you got it wrong. Was it on what you studied, and you just didn't study right, or were you not even studying that at all? And I see that a lot, especially when you get into the sciences and you're an upperclassman. They will study the notes, but they don't look at the book, and they don't look at their notes from the labs. When the teachers in science class have you do labs, they're going to put a question on the test on it. So you need to be taking notes and you need to be reviewing that. What are you studying? See what you got wrong. And then there's also testing guide, and that's where working with me, I can give you different tips and tricks. If you find that you freeze on a test, you do everything, and then all of a sudden you just clam up, there's different things you can do to help your body relax and be able to function better on exams. What option do I have if I need help? And you know this, but more so for parents. Teacher is always the #1 resource. When someone comes to me, the first thing I do is I go to the teacher and say, okay, what are you seeing? And then, there's a lot of different responses that come from that. Tutoring is #2. We do have a list of National Honor Society tutors right now for this year. That list will grow after next week because now the juniors are going to be inducted. So I'll have even more students to choose from as the seniors kind of lead their way out. Online textbooks. Most of our classes have online textbooks, and I know some of your teachers advertise that more than others. Ask. If you're struggling, ask. A lot of times they have practice tests and everything online, which can really give you an insight as to how those tests are being generated. YouTube or my online website, actually it's a reference to the Khan Academy. That was linked off of my site, and I think it's on there too, but it's better that you just know KHAN Academy is a phenomenal website. You can be studying quadratic equation in math. You just type in the title, you don't need chapters and things like that, and they'll come up with a million teachers who are doing that exact same lesson. You are never dependent on the teacher, and I think that's the biggest mistake that kids make, is I don't understand how so-and-so teaches. I have to tell you, when you hit the college level, I've had some professors that barely speak English. need to be reading your textbooks. And I know most of you don't. How many of you actually read the textbooks when you get an assignment? Okay, those of you that are raising your hand. Those are probably the ones that are getting A's, and those of you that aren't reading textbooks are like, how come are you doing so well on tests? It's because they're getting 100% of the information rather than 75% that the teacher has funneled down when they give you notes. Read the textbooks. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox now. Graduation requirements. Your graduation requirements changed, and I don't know if you've heard this or not. World language. Michigan Merit Curriculum says you need, and I'll go through in order, English, 4 credits. So it's English 9, English 10, English 11, English 12. If you have failed or are struggling in English 9, you need to get help with that right now. English does not go away, and the worst thing you can do is not pass an English class and then have 2 of them the next year and 3 of them the next year. And I've seen students do that, and it's because they don't want to go through and do those in-depth papers. Get help now, figure out what you need to do so that you don't end up in that situation. Math, you need algebra, you need geometry, and you need algebra 2. So that's in that order. As far as scheduling is concerned, again, the course description book. If you take if you're in algebra right now, you do have the option of taking geometry and algebra 2 next year, but you don't need to. And some students, math is not your strong point. Don't double up on it. Just take a little bit at a time. You can continue moving on when you get to college level. Make sure you master what you're taking now. The fourth one is math related. That has to be your senior year, and this is, I get the most questions from seniors because they'll say, well, I took a tech center class my junior year, so I don't have to, right? Wrong. You have to take a math class your senior year, or a math related. If you turn your sheets over to the back, I try to read this really easy for you to see. This is a list of all of the classes that Kingston High School has to offer next year. And you'll see which ones have prerequisites. There's a legend in the bottom left-hand corner so you can see what all the symbols mean. And the math-related one has its own little symbol, and it is a little plus sign. So you can see senior year what counts as math or math-related. So 4 credits for math. Science, you need 3 credits. Now your class is the first class that we really kind of cracked open the Science 9 or the biology vault, okay? If you're in biology, it is expected that you will take chemistry and physics before you graduate. The reason it's expected is those are what's on your college entrance exams, both of those classes. Science 9 is giving you an introduction to both, so if you're in Science 9 right now, you'll take biology next year, possibly chemistry at the same time if you want to double up, if you want to try to get through all of our science classes. And then you'll have a choice of either chemistry or physics. Not that you can't take both, it's just if you're in biology right now, you should be taking both chemistry and physics. Physics, in order to take physics, you need to have successfully passed algebra 2. So you need to plan that out so that you have that before you sign up with physics. Now, I want you to know there's 575 students approximately in the high school right now. I cannot go through every single one of your schedules, 7 hours of the day, and make sure that you've taken the prerequisites that you need to take and that you've got the background that you need to take. With the computer system, we can set it up so you're restricted and you can only sign up for 10th grade classes for next year. But beyond that, you need to know what the prerequisites are, you need to know what the expectations are. So you need to be using that course description book so you don't put yourself into the wrong class and maybe the teacher doesn't catch it either and you're ill prepared for the subject. So make sure you're reading that course description book. We do have a new class this year, it's called Advanced Physics, and I just want to point that out. Advanced almost implies that you need to have the first class before you take advanced, but that's not the way that it's designed. It's advanced in the sense that it's going to be moving faster, and if you choose to take the AP exam at the end, he's willing to work with you to prepare you for that exam, and I'll explain what those are in a minute if you're not sure what AP means. For social studies, your U.S. history this year, civics and economics next year, it's 1 semester of each of those, and then world history. World history is typically taken during your 11th grade year, but not always. If you were trying to get through a lot of core classes, get a lot of AP courses in, you may choose to move that to a different year. All of this you have started in your EDP career cruising. You should be using career cruising on a regular basis. Get in the habit. You can document your volunteer hours in there, your sports and extracurricular activities in there, save careers that you're interested in there. When college recruiters come, we go to career cruising and we see who saved those schools, teach Intro to Micro, 1 credit, which is also your online learning experience. And then VPAA. So VPAA, coming into high school, you were told you needed 1 VPAA credit. Now it's been increased to 2 if you only take 1 year of a world language. So if you're in Spanish right now, and you're not planning on taking Spanish 2, you would have to compensate for that by taking an additional VPAA class, which those are also designated on that paper in that legend. Any questions about that? Okay. Those of you who plan to get a 4-year degree, you need to have 2 years of a world language, 2 years of the same world language. So if you're in Spanish right now, you're looking at something that requires a 4-year degree, I did put a printout in here for you. I believe it's the 4th page back. Looks like this, black and white. It's not exactly the best copy. Talks to you about the differences in college degrees, certificate programs, apprenticeship programs, an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, a bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree, a master's degree, which is typically around 6 years, depending on the program. A professional degree would be once you get a master's degree, you're specializing in something. In the field of education, it's called an ed specialist degree. And then a doctoral degree, which they designate the different types of doctoral degrees. You're probably used to a medical doctor or a family physician, but there's other forms of doctorate programs in there. So if you just want to take a second and look at that, I want you to process that, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about those. Okay, so again, I'm going to stress for using. If you haven't been in there, you need to get in there this year. It's expected that you go in there once a year, and I know that the intro micro teachers allow the time for you to do that. So hopefully yours are up to date. But now that you're making decisions about what classes you're going to take, you're probably going to need to edit that education development plan portion. So apprenticeship program. Right now, our skilled trades apprenticeships are very, very short-handed. What they are hands-on careers, like bricklaying, heating, ventilating, welding. There's a lot of different construction type careers that are out there. Apprenticeships are phenomenal job opportunities. If you like that kind of lifestyle, they're usually hands-on. Sometimes they do a lot of traveling. The pay is really good. There's usually really good benefits. I have websites off of my counseling website to take you to more information on that. But you'll see in the paper, usually you need to be 18 in order to apply for apprenticeships. So it's something that you can seek information on right now, but there's not a lot that you can do to actively apply or make connections as far as getting to know what's on the test that they give you. But the benefit, if you look at financially, the benefits to it, you do not have to go to college, you do not have to pay for schooling. What they do is they hire you, pair you with somebody, they do some training, they focus in on a skill, they train you, then they send you to class, which is your college essentially, but you get paid while you're there, and you come back and you practice a new skill, then you go to class, and you do this for about 7 years, and you end up with what's called a journeyman's card. And when you have that journeyman's card, it's essentially equivalent to a college degree, without ever having to pay, without ever having to take time off of work, without having an income. So it's a phenomenal opportunity for those that are interested in that sort of a situation. And there's some examples that are listed there. In our area, most of the apprenticeship programs are skilled trades. So they're very particular, highly skilled trades, hands-on sort of things. The other ones, the bookkeeping, school secretaries, those are a little bit different in the approach on how you would get an apprenticeship program for that. Go to associate's degree. Those are 2-year degree, and I'll talk about entrance exams for associate's degree. If you are strong in math and science, there are some 2-year degree programs where you can make as much as somebody with a master's degree because we are so short-handed in skilled the school, Kingsford High School, is really taking on a huge STEM push throughout the K through 12 school district. So you're going to see more and more of these STEM careers, which are heavy science, math related. Then you get into the bachelor's degree, which is your 4-year degree, which is where I'm going to stress the world language component. If you start looking at colleges, and again, career cruising, you go in, let's say you want to be a veterinarian, so you look at these pre-vet programs, and then you go to the college, and this is all through career cruising, it's just click, it takes you right there. You look at what their entrance requirements are for those schools. They're going to say at least 2 years of world language are recommended. Some of them are going to require them. University of Madison, depending on what you're going into, is going to require 3 and sometimes 4, depending on what your major is. So before you rule out the world language, I just want to stress that you need to be looking at the college entrance requirements so that you stay up and stay open. Right now, your whole plan is to keep your doors wide open and not close any of them because you don't know where you'll be your senior year. Like I said, you're still getting to know yourself. If you're going into anything health related, you're going to want to get that chemistry in too. So those of you that are on the fence, not sure exactly what you want to do, make sure you get that chemistry in. Okay, course selections, AP. AP courses, online courses, dual enrollment, and I already talked about world language. AP courses are university level courses. So when you look at an associate's degree, that's usually a 2-year school, which would be like an NWTC, a technical college, or Bay College here in town. Those are where you get most of your associate's degree, 2-year programs. If you're looking at a 4-year degree, that's a university. Okay? University usually has higher entrance requirements. Your ACT scores need to be higher in order to get in, which means the courses are more difficult because they're expecting more of you because your ACT scores are higher. So AP is a university level class. We have 6 AP courses here on Kingsford High School's campus, which is most in this area for sure. And what that means is you would take the course here, you would report to, let's say, Mr. Anderson's class for AP US History next year. You're eligible for that if you wanted to do that. Instead of an A going on your transcript as a 4.0, it goes in as a 5.0. So if you attend graduation this May and you listen to their grade point averages, some of them have a 4.09, blah, 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 and it's because they've taken advantage of AP courses and they've received A's in all of their classes, which put them above a 4.0. And we have several students that are above a 4.0 in our senior class. So, benefits of AP, it's more rigorous, it's going to take more time for you to do, which is a great training, get you in the college mode. You get the 5-point scale. If you get a C or higher, and the requirements for that are in your agenda book. Those are also online for parents who don't have access to an agenda book. But the thing is your college credit is totally dependent on the exam at the end. So if you're not a good test taker, you're putting all of the risk onto that one exam. It's given in May. They are typically around $93 per exam, which is a huge savings. As I just said, one English class is around $600, and that's at the lower end. So it's a huge savings if you do take the exam and you pass. However, like I said, it's down to one exam, and it's in May. So dual enrollment, on the other hand, is taking college classes live, not based on an exam, very similar to high school where you're trying to work in and getting credit based on that work, rather than just one exam at the end. I'm very excited that Kingsford High School offered 5 classes right on our campus last year. You have a survey in front of you if you want to take that out right now. I'm going to talk to you about that survey. We were able to offer 3 classes on campus first semester and 2 classes on campus this semester for all interested 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. So the benefit is, like I said, you get college credit for the class that you're in. It's not just dependent on one exam. We have been working with Bay College, which is a community college, and the good news is in Michigan, those are pretty easy to transfer. So even if you don't plan on attending Bay, that should transfer to the university that you're attending if you're in Michigan. If you leave Michigan, then it's up to the college whether or not they're going to accept that. The classes that we generally offer are what are considered liberal studies, general education requirements. They call them different things at different colleges, but they they're what you would take for any four-year degree for the most part, to make you more well-rounded. That's the main difference between a four-year degree and a two-year degree, is all of these general education requirements. So if you were to take one at next year, if you were to take a dual enrollment course, you should have at least a 3.0 grade point average. You should not need your parents in checking Power School, checking teacher lesson plans over your shoulder, making sure you hand things in, telling you you have a test and you need to study. You should be an independent learner. You should be mature. You should be able to communicate with your teachers, not be afraid to talk to them because you're going to need clarification. And it is, if you do enroll, you are establishing an official college transcript. That's way different than a high school transcript because that determines your financial eligibility. Sometimes it affects your scholarships. It can affect your standing in college, whether or not you're entering college as a freshman or as a sophomore, which sometimes gives you card privileges and things like that. So it's a big deal if you choose to do enroll. However, it's also a huge asset to be able to have that on campus here. So if you feel like you are interested in dual enrollment, the school pays the bulk of the fees for dual enrollment. However, the formulas that the state gives us doesn't cover the entire tuition. I can't tell you exactly what it'll be next year, but this year the students ended up paying $80 for a 3-credit class. The school covered 502 of that. You do have to buy your own textbooks because you own your textbooks at the college level. It's not like they're property of the school. So you have the ability to resell them or you can rent them. So if you just want to look, you're not committing to anything right now. I just want you to fill that survey out. You take a look at those classes, put your name on the top of that sheet, and just say whether or not you'd be interested in dual enrollment next year, and if you would be, what classes you might be interested in. The descriptions are on the back. If you're not interested, that option is right on the top. As a sophomore, I would not recommend more than one per semester. So I would not recommend certainly more than 2 right now if you are interested. And if you're not interested, that's totally fine. This is just me getting a survey as I start coordinating with our providers and deciding what courses we may want to offer next year. Okay, you can continue to read and you can chat with each other. I don't mind, I'm not offended. When you leave here, what I want you to do is put those surveys in. If you borrow pencils back on that same table where you came in, and then I'll take a look at those later on. I want to keep moving here though because we're running short on time. When we get to scheduling, if you're planning on taking a dual enrollment course, you do not need to know what you want to take right now. If you sign up for dual enrollment, basically you're putting yourself on a list for me to meet with individually and help you through it, talk to you about it, talk with parents. So you're under no pressure to make a huge decision right now. This is just you letting me know that you're interested. Online courses. There are a variety of online courses that are available. I have a list of them in my office. So again, if you're interested in online courses, there are a lot of elective things that we don't offer here. We can get online, and you can stop in sometime over the course of the next 2 days if you want to check out the listing that we have. Otherwise, if you're just curious about it, you think you might want to take it, but you're not really sure, and you sign up for it, again, you're putting yourself on a list for me to meet with and talk with more about what your options are. Online courses work just like any other course. It's assigned as an hour during your day, and during that hour, you report to a supervised computer lab where a teacher is there to help you to work with your online teacher. So that's online. For dual enrollment, again, you're assigned an hour a day for dual enrollment. If you're taking one of the classes that we offer here, and let's say it's first hour, the instructors come here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which leave Tuesdays and Thursdays for you to work in the media center on any homework that you may have. And they're scheduled usually starts a little bit later and is done a little sooner than ours too, so there's flexibility with how that is scheduled. And it is part of your school year. Sometimes students will take online dual enrollment classes as well. That's a whole other level of challenge. But sometimes they will do that, and that just gives them an hour a day that's unassigned, and then they're doing their online classes whenever that's during that time, or if they're in night class, then they would go to their night class to fill that requirement. Okay, real quick, I'm just going to mention these just briefly because they don't affect you too much yet. When you start applying for colleges, just so you know, they are going to recalculate your grade point average in most instances. Okay, recalculating it means if you are going into math and science, they're going to throw out, or could potentially throw out, band or art or words or something like that that does not apply to the major that you're applying to. And I say that because some kids will say, well, my grade point average isn't where I want it to be. I'm going to take all these easy classes just to get that up. That doesn't help at the college level. It may help with what Kingsford High School has on a piece of paper, but not at the college level. So be aware of that as you're looking at colleges. NCAA Clearinghouse, if there's anybody in here that's interested in playing Division I or Division II sports, there's a special screening process you need to go through, which involves critiquing the classes that you take at the college level. So they must be challenging. So be aware of those. Volunteerism I've already addressed, and you will be applying for colleges at the beginning of your senior year. That's a big deal because that means you only have next year and your junior year to impact your grade point average. So you should know where you stand. Okay, testing alert. Your class took the Explore test last year. They no longer offer the plan test, which was sequential and prepared you for the ACT. So we as a school district are still trying to figure out exactly what sort of a pre-test and interim test that we want to give to you so that you have some sort of a reading of where you're at. The state of Michigan has officially for the next 3 years changed from an ACT state to an SAT state. So what that means is when you're applying for college, the ACT and the SAT are the two exams that are used for entrance into a 4-year program. If you're looking at a 2-year program, if you score high enough in the 4-year program, they will accept that and your testing will be over. If you do not, then they have another series of tests that they give you depending on the campus that you're going to. They uses the Compass test and the UTC uses the AccuPlacer, so those are just some names that are thrown out there. Your junior year, you'll be taking the PSAT test, or you'll have an option to take that. And that is a test where you can qualify for a very large scholarship. It's also a practice test for the SAT, which is also during your junior year. The ASVAB test, those of you that are interested in military careers, the military is run, if you think of military bases all over the world, basically they're little cities. So they need everybody, every sort of job that we need to run this city on that military base. So there's a misconception sometimes about the types of careers that you can go into in the military, and I think Career Cruising has done a great job flushing that out and including the military in all of the different career fields that are available. So again, you should be using that. Parchment. Okay, you have several sheets of paper in there describing parchment, and I started giving that to you at this age because I think it's very important that you know what you look like on paper. Parchment is an online security system where we have your transcripts available for you to access anytime you want. So you now have an official transcript because your first semester of high school is done. And if you go to Parchment, you should have a parent with you because there is like a signature box. When we do that here on campus, your parents have given permission for the enrollment forms, so we allow you to sign your own name. But it's best that you do this with your parents so that they can see the process, the security. We've been using this for many years and we've never had any issues with it. There's a little symbol in the upper right-hand corner of the KHS webpage that will take you directly to this site. If you create an account, the nice thing is that they're partnered with a company that's called Zinch. Zinch is a college matching service, and because of that, it can look at, it'll ask you questions. They never release your information, so if everything is self-reported, it'll ask you approximately what your grade point average is, or approximately what your ACT score may be. When you enter that information, it'll match you with different colleges and give you a lot of different resources. It'll tell you the likelihood of you getting into whatever college you're interested in based on what you're telling it. resources that are in there. It's optional, but it is a good feature inside of there. You can self-view your transcript, which I want all of you to do by Friday, hopefully. Create the account, look at your transcript. What is your class rank? How does your attendance look? How are your grades? That is what a college application or a college admissions counselor is going to see. They're not going to know you or know how much you study. What they're going to know is that grade. How do you look on paper? If it's not good, now is the time to change that, because they do understand freshman year is a huge transition. Sometimes we stumble. And what defines you is how well you pick yourself up. So be taking advantage of the resources if you are stumbling right now. We are here to help. Eventually, you will be sending these electronically, and you should be using this to plan for summer school. Some of you, when I talk to you, you're not even sure if you passed your class for the first semester or not. And that's not acceptable. You need to know, because that'll define whether or not you're in high school for 4 or 5 years. So be pulling up that schedule or pulling up that transcript and looking at summer school if you need it. New courses, just really quick. These are course description book again. It's online, visit it. Advanced physics, I talked about. Business courses, you are eligible for 3, well, possibly 3 of these courses. There's personal finance, business econ, and then business law. Job savvy work skills will be 11th and 12th grade, and then an accounting 2. If you are accounting 1, you can read the descriptions of those online. Music appreciation and music theory. That is a blended class, and I want to point this one out in particular because for me, I do not know how to play an instrument, and clearly I can't sing. So for me, music classes were always sort of standoffish. I wasn't comfortable. Mrs. Hogan has created this new course, which I think is fabulous for people who just want to be more well-rounded, who want to understand when people are talking about music, what it means, why it's important, the different genres, the different eras, famous people that you should be aware of just to be an educated citizen. And that's really what music appreciation and music theory is. It's a blended, some of it's online, some of it's face-to-face. You're not forced to play an instrument. It's just understanding the music, music in general. Computer coding for gaming, this is new at the Volk Center. We do have a programming course here, which is the same thing as coding. The difference is this is a 2-hour block, and for some of you that may be difficult to get in. You do have to be pretty comfortable with algebra in order to take this course. And then the last one is Flipper Interventions. Flipper Interventions is a new course, and it is designed for students who are struggling, and you just need a little bit of extra help, whether it be you feel like you can't read as fast as the other kids in class, and you want to work on that, or maybe you don't feel like you have the study skills that you need, and you want to fix that. There's a lot of different things that we're going to have in place to help you to get to where you want to be, and that's essentially Flipper Interventions. Okay, this is your schedule sheet. Flip over the back page. This page, flip it over. You will see the schedule sheet. This is what you need to work on and have done by Monday. Okay, have filled out by Monday. We are going to take you into the computer lab on Tuesday so you can actually enter this into Power School. The upperclassmen are going to do this on their own, so I just don't want you to get confused when you talk to your friends in the hallway. But since you haven't had to do this yet, we're going to do this with you in the computer lab. But you need to take this home and fill it out by Monday. English 10 will be all of you. Science is going to be dependent on what you're in right now. If you're in biology right now, obviously you're going to be either taking the chemistry or the physics. Chemistry if you're health related. Physics only if you've had that algebra 2. You do not want to be taking algebra 2 at the same time as physics. You should have the algebra 2 before, prerequisite. Civics and econ will automatically be scored, or will be scheduled on your math course. The sequence is algebra, geometry, algebra 2. Again, you can double up in some sciences and in some maths. Some students will take, especially if you feel like you're strong in sciences or want to exhaust our curriculum, they will take biology and chemistry during their sophomore year. That's not uncommon to do if you are science-based. And then electives. I think I have a slide in here that talks about some scheduling mistakes, but remember if you take anything at the tech center, it says 5, 6, and 7 there, 5 through 7 electives. The tech center is 2 hours a day. So write it it twice so that you don't accidentally schedule too many classes. You are going to have some alternates. When you schedule, it will require you to pick 2 alternates, and I can see she didn't leave 2 lines on here for that. So make a note or write on there to have some alternate classes in mind. Sometimes you have scheduling conflicts. Upperclassmen get first dibs on classes so that they have the opportunity, so sometimes there's just not room. Doesn't happen a lot, but we need to know what your alternates are in case that does happen. We will take care of all of that over the summer. Summer programs, summer school forms, if you are interested in that, and if you did fail anything, I highly recommend you make at least one of them up this summer. It's for credit recovery or world language. We are opening it up for those of you who are having trouble getting your world language credit in. It is not going to be a class, though it is online, which is just a caution. Online learning is very different from face-to-face learning, and it's really the same requirements as dual enroll, and you cannot have to have a parent over you and be successful in online. It has to be self-directed. You have to be self-motivated. Talked about that. Summer camps. There's tons of summer camps right now. I've been trying to send them out, but I know you're not reading the announcements. If you're interested in forensic science, for example, or some sort of engineering, Michigan Tech has a million summer camps. LSSU has a million summer camps. If you want help getting in touch with that sort of thing, stop in my office and we'll help direct you to the right area. Visit any college website you'll find them. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. This is for those of you that are excellent planners. If you are an excellent planner, you're already saying, and you're having conversations with your parents, how am I going to pay for college? Okay? Most 9th grade students aren't doing that, but if that's you, I want you to have this information. There's 3 basic ways that you pay for college. There's loans, there's grants, and there's scholarships. Scholarships, right now, there's national search engines that you can be creating accounts in. FastWeb is one that we use a lot. Zinch has one in there. Career Cruising even has one in there. You can go through and you can find scholarships that are for 9th grade students. There's not a ton, but they exist, especially when you look nationally. The loans and the grants you don't have to worry about until you're a senior. Funding college is based on your family's financial situation during your senior year. And that's essentially what they use it's the fiscal year, so it would be the end of your junior year and then the first part of your senior year. That FAFSA forecaster, if you or your parents are concerned, you can go to that FAFSAforecaster.gov and you can estimate what kind of financial aid package you're going to receive. And any college, if you go to any college's website and you do a search for net cost calculator or net price calculator, and you have this value, your EFC from the forecaster, it'll tell you a financial aid package. It'll say this is how much it's going to cost you, this is the scholarships you should be eligible for. So you can already access that information. So if you're concerned and you want help finding that, let me know. But essentially that's what we would do.